Okay, so, um, and Chanel is here. Um, I think almost everybody is here, so we will, wow, everybody's here and on time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, this evening, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to kind of begin where we ended on Tuesday. I must also say, let's see, I think Megan, you alerted me to the fact that I didn't do attendance correctly on Moodle, and I corrected it. And anytime you guys find stuff like that, I am a complete novice at Moodle. So if I make mistakes, you guys have to help me, okay? So I really appreciate it. Um, I also realized that I didn't know how to put the public viewing of the recording that we had on YouTube, but I figured it out. And so this evening at midnight, that will be available to you for Tuesday's class for some people who didn't see Tuesday's class who want to review some of the things. Okay, any questions, any thoughts from the last time we met before we get started? Nope. Okay, so let's get started with sharing screen. And I have to move this over so I can see all of you. Okay. Oh, admit. Okay. So where I want to begin is with just reviewing some of the assignments so that you're really clear on what I'm expecting and how to fulfill the different parts of your credit for this class. So one of the things is reading the text, obviously. But every time that we're working together, we're going to be using information from the text and from the cards. The second thing that is part of your grade is working with a student and using your manual and cards 2 times before next Tuesday. And some of the people brought up some wonderful ideas last time when we worked and said, well, Sasha, do we have to work with the same person over time? And the answer is no, you don't, because if you have a really little one, and that's great for this week's assignment, but when we get to multi-syllables, that won't work real well. So we'll have to be flexible with that. Also writing up a summary of what you do when you work with your student and putting that in Moodle. You can put that into Moodle or you can email it to me. Things that you accomplished with that student, that you observed and that you question about what you've been working with. The third thing, over the 10 weeks, at some point to have read 3 articles, and each week in Moodle, there's going to be different articles that you can choose from. And I did provide an example so you'll know what I'm looking for. And then printing your handouts for each class. Any questions about that at all?
I have a question.
Okay, great.
I noticed it said we're teaching lesson 1, but we're working with them twice. So how do we like break the lesson up into 2 times or?
Okay, so actually, and that's something that we're going to be working on today, Cassie. You can go anywhere between lessons 1 and 4, and I'm going to speak with you about some interesting ideas, which I have learned and have come in the last years that are really, really, really helpful to us as teachers. So the way that I organize the 4 lessons in my book were really based on how I was trained by a speech and language therapist, and that are really based in the same chart that we worked with Tuesday, and we're going to work again. But one of the things that's happened with a number of different curricula is that we have been able to have information about what are the most frequent consonants in our language. And those are the ones that you want to teach first. And I'm going to show you a chart with that tonight. The other thing that's really interesting is, you know, from your work on Tuesday that some consonants are plosive, which means they have a puff of air coming out of them, rather than continual. Continual consonants are easier for students to blend into words. So it's really helpful if you do begin by teaching them continual sounds first instead of the plosives. And I'm going to show you a chart with that. Another thing that happens, which is pretty interesting, is that many students are taught, and I'm sure you among them, that letters, consonants sound like this: ta, da, ka, fa. That is saying two phonemes, two sounds at once. When you say duh, you're saying d, When you say fa, you're saying f, What we want to teach our students is to not put the on the consonant. Even though it's harder with the voiced consonants, like b, it's not b, and duh, and g. It's b, d, g. Okay, so if you take and put the voiced consonants on the end of a word, like a 3-letter word, there's much less chance that your students are going to put that on the word. Much less chance than if that consonant is in the beginning of a word. So these are interesting ideas to consider that really, really dovetail with articulation. Okay, so there are some real basic generic questions that you use when you're teaching all of the consonants. And we're going over this because as soon as we finish these few slides, I'm going to put you into groups and I'm going to have you teaching a partner a pair of consonants, working back and forth, working back and forth. So you want to have your cards with you or your book. But the cards are easier because they have the pictures on them. So if you're talking about a consonant, the first set of questions that we want to ask are, what part of your mouth are you using, lips or tongue? And that question is framed very carefully because it always gives a choice so the students can go inside and think, lips or tongue. So it directs them, but also allows them to think. Is it the front of your tongue or the back of your tongue? Is your tongue between your front teeth or behind your front teeth? So it's asking questions about what part of the mouth is working. Another set of questions we want to ask them is about the airflow and how that's been restricted by the different parts of your mouth. And this is really a good graphic of showing how airflow can be restricted. You can have air coming up from the lungs and have it come through the nose, or you can have it coming through the mouth and the lips restrict it, or the tongue restricts it, the front of the tongue or the back of the tongue. There's actually some videos, and I couldn't find one to show you, where you can see an X-ray of someone's head when they're talking, and you see all of these different parts of the mouth moving, and it's really pretty amazing. So we want to ask questions like, what about the air? Is it coming out in a puff like ch, or lines like s? So if I give them something to feel, then again they can kind of work against those ideas and select one and really focus their thinking about how they're using their mouth to articulate. Is the air coming out of your mouth like shh, or the nose like mm? Is it a lot of air like shh, or a little bit of air like s? Is the air hot or cool? And one of the things that I think is really important, if you're going to really be able to teach articulation, and articulation of the sounds is like beginning of the alphabet principle, and it's really critical, um, is if you do it yourself. Like if your student makes a mistake and you do what they did, you're going to be able to figure out how to ask them a question and correct it. Okay. Then the last part of the generic question is this consonant or vowel? Is it voiced like z or is it quiet like s? Okay. So every time you're teaching one of the consonants, those are the 3 types of questions that you will be asking. So this is, and I did put it into the Moodle also, the scope and sequence of all reading and spelling of individual words from kindergarten through 2nd. And this is actually a program which is pretty brand new, coming out of the University of Florida Literacy Hub. It is probably the best teacher manual for beginning reading and decoding that I've ever seen. Okay. And it's all based in the science of reading. And what they've done is you purchase the manual, but there is tons and tons of exceptionally good resources for free on the UFly toolbox. And this is their scope and sequence. So one of the things they say is that you want to teach the single vowels first. So you teach the A, and then you teach the O, and then you teach the I and the E and the U. You begin by teaching the consonants in the first lessons, the M. And if you say M with me, please. You see that's a continual that you could hold on to, or S is also a continual. Now, you have T and P being very, very common. So we're going to use those at the ends of words as much as we can. But also we're going to teach N. So it goes through and it teaches the consonants in order of what are the most frequent consonants, which open up the most words. And that's something that I think is really, really useful and helpful. Another person, when we were talking on Tuesday, we were talking about reading aloud. And so I found this wonderful resource for you. And you might want to take a screenshot of this. Readingrockets.org is a website that is really full of practical ideas. And so they have a whole set of articles for those who are interested in how reading aloud with students can be augmented, get the most for the time that you're working with them. Okay. So another person said to me, I think it was Jordan, that did we have to teach our students plosives and continuals and fricatives and affricatives? And my answer was, no, you don't necessarily, but you have to know it. So I wanted to put some really good definitions here for some of the more difficult to understand terms about how we articulate. But also what I'm going to be asking you is to come up with some with your partner when you're working with the consonants for these consonants. So a fricative, and an example of a fricative, can everybody say this with me? So one of the things that happens when you pronounce those is that some part of the mouth restricts a flow of air. So it's important that it's a flow of air and also that it's restricted. So if I say, Kaylee, what part of my mouth restricts the air?
Your like teeth?
Yes.
Well, it's your like tooth on your lip, technically.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Okay, and that was Kayla. And now Kaylee, when you say, um, what part of your mouth is restricting the air?
Saying, or
So
your tongue and your teeth.
exactly, your tongue and your teeth are restricting the air, aren't they? And Jose, when you say what's restricting the air and letting that flow of air come out? Your lips or your tongue?
My tongue?
Your tongue. And is it in the front of the mouth or the back of the mouth?
Uh, the back?
If it were the back, it would feel like this. G, g. If it were
The
front,
front?
yeah. Do you see how having something to compare it to really helps you to locate it, right? Okay. So that's what a fricative is. So F and V, S and Z and TH are fricatives. An affricative is a combination of an explosion, a puff, and a fricative. So you stop the air and you build it up and then you release it. So feel this on your hand. So Cassie, what block the air first when you go lips or tongue?
Wait, what blocks the air first?
Yes, when you say what holds it back? Your lips or your tongue?
I think your tongue.
Yes.
Okay.
Lips are open, aren't they?
Yeah, it took me a second.
They couldn't hold it back. Okay, so an affricative is like a combination of a plosive and a fricative. Now, the next two, for me, are the most challenging to understand. A liquid is a consonant that is produced when the tongue creates a partial closure. So let's feel this. Go, ooh. Logan, feel ooh. What is closing in your mouth? Your lips or tongue? Ooh. And is it the front of the tongue or the back of the tongue?
It's kind of both. Cool. More so the front, I guess.
Okay, but tell me your thinking when you say both of them. Ooh. What is the back doing? What is the front doing? Which is
The back rises, and so does the front. Oh, for me. Oh.
okay. And that's a very good point, okay? For me. So you have to really question the kids and even use mirrors to see what is really happening, okay? And the interesting thing, Logan, say now what is closing off the air? The lips are tongue. And is it front or back?
Back.
Okay, so now say ooh, and you'll see the movement. Do you feel the difference there?
Yeah, with it's more towards the front.
Exactly. Okay. Now, a glide is a consonant sound that is somewhat like a vowel, but it doesn't function as a vowel because vowels are very, very different than consonants. So W is a moving. It's often they're called semi-vowels, and E. Y is acting as a consonant. When I learned W, WH, and H from a speech and language therapist, they called those wind sounds because a lot of air came out. That's how I learned it, okay? But these are the technical terms. So this is what I'd like us to do now. Let's see, how many people do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And with me, 14. So we're going to break up into 7 groups. And this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to use your dialogue cards or the text for lesson 1, 2, 3, or 4. And one person will teach the other one consonant pair, and then you'll switch. But I want you to give each other feedback about what that teacher did that helped you to learn and what they could also improve upon. And you switch back and forth. And then we're going to have some people demonstrate to the group the teaching of the consonants. And we have one other activity with this. Any questions about what you're supposed to do? Go back and forth, lessons 1 through 4. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing, and I am going to make breakout rooms, and we're going to have 7 breakout. Somebody may have Russ Hannon in that group. That is a blank screen. That is my screen and my husband's computer. Okay, and we're going to do this. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Okay, let's get started. Oh. Okay. team. So Megan, who did you work with Raven? Cool. Okay, so everybody's back? Not quite everybody. So one of the things that we're going to do with this is I'm going to share screen. I'm going to show you. we're going to create a word wall together. And I'm going to take this and show you how I would do this. And this is something that I would do with students. For instance, I just evaluated a student this week. And when I tested her on one of the tests that I'm going to show you, she knew most of her consonants. So one of the things that I know that I'm going to do is this very same exercise that I would do with you, because she knows most of this, but she doesn't know how she's using her articulators. So one of the things that I want to do first is ask each group which consonants they taught each other. And then we're going to figure out where we put them on the chart based on the exploration that you did. So Megan, you and Raven, what consonants did you work with?
We did the paired ones, the TH and the WH.
The TH, okay, the digraphs.
Yes.
Okay, so TH, so, and then the WH. So when you did the TH, what did you find was the important part of the mouth? Was it the lips? Was it the tongue? What was the air? What was the voicing?
It kind of depends on which one you were using, but really the tongue I noticed is a huge part. And it really kind of comes down to, if you were to teach this to a little kid, making sure that you really demonstrate your mouth really clearly so they can understand and hear and feel the differences.
I agree. Because sometimes I call the TH twinners, because if you saw the letters in a word, it's TH for both of them. But one is voiced and one is unvoiced. So where do you think we should put the TH? Would it be under the lips, teeth, on the lip, tongue between the teeth? Where would it be?
It's tongue between the teeth.
Okay, so let's take the TH and what about the air? Is it coming in a puff or a stream?
Kind of a stream, but it's kind of restricted.
And it is restricted, but it doesn't feel like p, does it?
No.
Okay, cool. So we're going to put the two THs right there, because it's the tongue between the teeth. One is voiced, one is unvoiced, and they're fricatives. It's a flow of air. So Raven, you did another, what letters did you also do with Megan?
We did WH.
Okay, so that is a digraph, isn't it?
Mhm.
Do you know the definition of a digraph now?
Two letters creating one sound.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And it can be a vowel as well as a consonant. Absolutely. Okay, what did you find out about the air?
It came out a lot.
Exactly.
That was the definition on the back of the card.
It came out a lot. And was it voiced or unvoiced?
Unvoiced.
Okay. And when you do that, what is happening with the lips, tongue, roof of the mouth? Are you using the lips when you do or not?
You use the lips and they go from closed and puckered to loose.
I agree. And what's happening also is when the lips are moving, do you feel your tongue also moving, pulling back and going to the roof of the back of the mouth? Or no?
I don't, but I also wasn't exaggerating the sound.
I don't either. Okay. So I think that it would be a glide, okay? Because we're moving, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to put that there. Thank you both. Okay. Ramsey, who did you work with?
I forgot their name. I'm terribly sorry about that.
Okay. That's okay. Does the other person know who Ramsey worked with?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, good.
Cassie.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so what letters did you guys work with?
So we mostly went over the letter P.
Okay, so what was the most significant thing about the P, the lips or the tongue?
The lips.
Okay, so we've got to be lips together, right? And what about the air? Was it in a stream or is it a puff, a fricative or a stop?
It was in a puff. So
Okay, so we should put the P and B right here, shouldn't we? Because the lips are together and it's a stop. Would you agree?
Yep.
And B is the partner. Which one of those is voiced and which is unvoiced, Ramsey?
the P would be voice.
Feel it, feel it. Is it voiced like Z or is it unvoiced like S?
Oh, so then the P would be unvoiced and the B would be voiced?
Exactly. If you do it,
Okay.
then you get the answer, okay?
Gotcha.
We can't use our intellect so well on this. We've got to feel it. Okay. So who worked with Ramsey?
Me.
Okay. Okay. So Cassie, you guys just did P and B, right? You
Mhm.
didn't do any other. Okay. So I'm going to pick a consonant and you and I are going to do it together. So the consonant, the digraph I'm going to pick is NG. And NG, this is how you say it. Can you say that with me, Cassie? And everybody else. So what's the, yes. And this is very much, NG is very much susceptible to accents. Like in New York, you don't say you say like sing. But in California and Oregon, we don't do that. We don't say singa, do we? We say sing. Okay. So different accents you got to pay attention to. Okay. So lips or tongue?
Tongue.
I agree. Front or back?
I'm gonna have to make this noise a lot to
Okay, that's
do
okay.
this. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
The back.
I agree. And where is the air coming out? Is it coming out of your mouth or your nose? You know the test.
Your nose.
Okay, so it is a nasal, isn't it? Okay. And is it voiced or unvoiced?
Oh, it is voiced.
I agree.
Would you say? Okay.
I would agree. I would agree. So NG, we're going to put back of the throat, nasal. That makes sense?
Also, are we supposed to be seeing the screen you're putting it on?
Oh, and of course you're not. Thank you.
Of course, I wasn't for sure. No.
Thank you, guys. You know, I appreciate you saying that because I really want you to see this screen. Okay, it's much more interesting now, isn't it? And it makes more sense now, doesn't it? Okay. So, you can see that NG is under back of throat and also nasal, and that P and B are lips together and stops because we stop the air and let it out in a puff. And WH are glides, and TH is a fricative with the tongue between the teeth. Okay, does this chart making more sense now? And one of the things that you're going to hear when you're in classrooms is word walls. Has anybody heard that yet? Okay, a word wall used to be that you put the letters of the alphabet onto the wall and then you wrote words underneath them as you taught them. However, a word wall is a bit tricky because sometimes the different consonants and absolutely the vowels have many different sounds and different spellings. So we go, the people who follow the science of reading, with word walls that look like this, and then using the consonants that look like this, and using the spellings that are most frequent, and then showing the alternate spellings as we teach them over time. You don't just put a word wall up and think you've taught it to your kids, but creating it together is really helpful. Okay, Kaylee Green, who did you work with and what consonants did you work on?
I worked with Jordan. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what consonants did you guys work on?
We worked on the consonant pairs for P, and we worked on one for T.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah. For T.
Was that easy, you guys, or was it challenging? And that's why you spent the whole 10 minutes on one letter.
We did all of the P consonants, consonant pairs, and then we also did the T one. It wasn't difficult, but I didn't understand how to do it because I wasn't here last class. So
Okay.
Jordan
Okay.
was catching me up. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't confusing. So Jordan, so you used all the cards for P and then you started and B and then you went to T and D, correct? Okay.
I think we just did T and F because I wanted to show her like what I think a pair was. Was it a pair? No.
T
yeah.
and D would.
Oh no, we did T and F. Yeah, we didn't
Okay.
get to T or D.
Okay, so here's a great thing. Jordan, can you say the sound of T? And thank you. And can you say the sound of F? Are those consonant pairs? Did you use the same part of your mouth, same air, one's quiet and one's noisy?
No, they're not pairs.
Exactly, okay? So that's a great thing, right? So if we had T, Kaylee, what part of your mouth were you using, your lips or your tongue?
That's the tongue and teeth.
Okay, and is the air coming in a ball or in a stream?
It's in a stream.
Feel it, put your hand in front of your face and feel, this is what a stream feels like. And this is what a puff feels like.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
is
coming in
a puff or a stream? Okay. Now, this is probably the most important thing. When a student that you're teaching makes a mistake, it's an opportunity for learning. And you just saw, Kaylee helped me demonstrate so well, you have to feel it and you have to have comparisons, right? Okay, so T and D, we said the tongue, and is it the tongue between the teeth, between the teeth or the ridge behind the teeth?
It's like your upper teeth.
Okay,
So it's
if it were between the teeth, it would look like this. If it were in the ridge behind the teeth, it would look like this. Which one is it?
Behind.
Behind. So that's where T and D go. Okay. Okay. Jordan, what about F? What are the dominant parts of articulation that are with F and V? Because those are partners. Lips or tongue?
It's gonna be lips.
And so is it lips together or teeth on lip?
Teeth on lip.
Okay. And is it a puff of air, a stop, or is it a fricative continual?
Well, based on the notes that I took earlier, I'm gonna have to go with the fricative continual.
Okie doke. Okay. So we're going to put it down here. Do you see how even for us as adults, this can be a really helpful review, organization, thinking through activity? So Brooklyn, who did you work with?
Sorry, that took a second. I worked with Logan.
Okay, so what consonants did you guys work on?
First we did P and B, and the second ones we did were K and G.
Okay, let's do with K and G, okay? So what was important with K and G, lips or tongue?
It was the tongue.
Okay, Logan, front of the tongue or back of the tongue?
Back of the tongue.
And what about the air, Brooklyn? Is it coming in a stream like S or a puff like P?
It's a puff.
Okay, so it's a stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
And would it be the tongue pulled back on the roof of the mouth, or the tongue between the teeth, or the back of the throat? Which do you think it would be?
It's in the back of the throat.
Okay, so we are going to find K and G, and we're going to put it there. Okay, Logan, which one is the voiced one? K or G?
G.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Who else? Kayla, who did you work with?
I worked with Jose and Isabella.
Okay, what letters did you guys work on?
We did P, T, K, and B.
Okay, okay. And we've already gone over this, so I get to torture you guys a little. Okay, so let's look at the sound. Oh, this will be really good. Can you, the three of you, say shh? Okay. Jose, what's important there, lips or tongue? Shh.
Tongue.
Tongue?
Okay. What is your tongue doing?
Kind of towards the roof.
It's
Yeah.
on the roof. It's on the roof. And I agree with that. Okay. Are your lips involved at all, Kayla? Shh.
Yeah. Well, they're open.
They're open and they're really kind of puckered forward, aren't they?
Mhm.
Okay. And who else was in your group? Isabella?
Yeah. Yep. And Jose.
And Jose. Okay. So Isabella, what about the air? Is it coming in a stream or in a puff?
A stream.
I agree. And is it, Jose, voiced or unvoiced? Shh.
Unvoiced.
Yes. Yes. It's so cute. It's like you surprise yourself. Okay, now I'm going to teach you something really interesting. The pair for SH is ZH. Has anybody ever seen a word in English that has ZH in the spelling? Probably not. The only word I know that has ZH is Dr. Zhivago. However, there are many different spelling patterns in our language that say that zh sound, like treasure, vision, beige. They all happen to come from French origin, okay? And we have these wonderful, like, spellings for them, but we want our kids to know how they're using their mouth. So we put the ZH, which is the sound, and then much further down the line, we teach each of those spellings, usually in like the multisyllable level. So where would we put the SH? Would it be in the stops, nasals, or fricatives? Kayla.
Would be fricatives.
Yes, it would, because it's being blocked by the lips and the tongue, isn't it? Okay, and so in fricatives, we have tongue and the ridge behind the teeth. Jose, when you say zh, is your tongue behind the teeth there? Zh. Or shh?
Behind the teeth.
Okay, so we get to put the SH here. Okay, cool. Let's see. Madeline, who did you work with?
I worked with Chanel.
Okay, so what consonants did you two work with?
We did P and B and T and D, and then I think we did K and S, but they're not a pair. So
No, they're not. Yes, look at how you guys are thinking of consonants differently in 3 hours, right? Isn't that amazing? So I'm going to pick a couple and do it with the two of you. So Chanel, can you say the sound of M? The sound of M is mm. Mm. What part of your mouth is important there? Lips or tongue? Mm.
Your lips.
And are they open or closed? Mm. And where's the air coming out? Your mouth or your nose? Mm.
Your nose.
And is it voiced or unvoiced? Mm.
Voiced.
Yes. So we're going to put it under nasals, under lips together. Would you agree with that? Lips together, nasals?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So, Madeline, we're going to do N. Okay. So will you say N?
Mm,
What's important there, lips or tongue?
tongue.
And is it the front of the tongue or the back?
The
Mm. Uh-huh. And where's the air coming out? Your lips or your nose?
your nose.
Okay. Voiced or unvoiced?
It's voiced.
Okay. So we're going to put it under nasals, aren't we?
Yes.
And where can I find the N? There it is. Okay. And it's the tongue on the ridge behind the teeth. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, guys. Do you realize when you work together, you were probably saying much longer sentences to ask the questions than I am, right? Because when you first do this, you have to get the jig, you have to get the sentence structure. But once you have the essential idea, oh, I have to ask about what part of the mouth it is and the location and the kind of air and voicing, this becomes easier and easier. But at the beginning, the reason I made those cards up for you is it's hard to remember all of that because this is all new information, right? Okay. So I'm going to, is anybody willing to say what they think S and Z are and where it should go on the chart? S, Z. Jordan, what do you think?
I think it's fricatives
Uh-huh.
or tongue. Tongue pulled back on roof of mouth.
Okay. Because it is on the roof of the mouth, isn't it? It's not in front of the teeth. Okay, I agree. It's a fricative. Okay. How about who can say what part of their mouth the CH and the J might be? If you say them ch, j. Brooklyn, you want to do this one with me?
I can try.
Okie dokie. So, what part of your mouth is important when you say ch? Is it your lips or your tongue?
Your lips.
Okay, what are your lips doing?
I'm thinking of like the shape your mouth is making when I say that.
Your lips are really up there and they're round, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you use your tongue at all when you said ch?
Yeah.
Okay, so both are accurate, aren't they? Aren't they? Now, what about the air? Was it a stream of air or a puff of air?
It's more of a puff.
Okay, and feel it go. It's a puff coming out. Voiced or unvoiced?
I think it's unvoiced.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And j is the voiced one. This happens to be an affricative because you hold back the air, but then you let it out.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to put it here. Okay, and what I want to look here is, so we had the L, and we did L already, didn't we? Somebody did L, am I correct? Okay, L is one of the glides because of movement with the tongue. And R is also related to L, using the tongue in the front and the back. Y is an interesting letter here. And the reason it's so interesting is Y is the only letter in the R alphabet, in our spelling system, that can act both as a consonant and as a vowel. And we're going to look at that with spelling patterns when we get to it. But it is one of those glides because the air. Yes, Jordan?
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I was just going to wait till you're done if you want to finish.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
So on the last slide, you told us that L and R are liquids, but just now you said glides.
Okay.
So
So I also said to you that for me, these two categories are the hardest ones to understand. So let's go back and see it and be correct. Thank you.
yeah.
So one of the things that this is really good. What I'm trying to do with you as much as possible is be who I am when I'm teaching. And when I'm teaching, if I make a mistake, I'm going to say, oh, I'm not sure of that. Let's go back and check that. Or if I don't know something, I'll say, I'm not sure about that. Let me check this out and get back to you with it. Okay. So L and R are liquids. Okay, which means the tongue creates a partial closure. Actually, one of the things that another name for the liquids is laterals. And the reason it's called laterals is the L goes up there and holds the air, and the air comes out the sides of your mouth. And that's both for L and R. And the glides are W and Y. Okay, so one of the things that I want you to do when you're working with your students now, I would think that you'll feel more comfortable teaching them the consonants and asking the questions. Am I correct? Yeah? Okay. When you were working in your groups, did any of you have questions or things that you need to have clarified? Has anybody ever taught you about these consonants and articulation before? Anybody? Okay. This is probably, if you're going to be teaching any student who has spelling problems, who has reading problems, also maybe some articulation problems, is a brand new reader starting from scratch, or a student who is in high school who cannot spell well, you're going to want to talk to them about these articulation features. This is like the beginning of how we teach reading and spelling, based on how the brain understands and coordinates a system on the left side, a circuit on the left side of what does the sound, what is the letter, what does it look like, what does it sound like, and how do we use our motor cortex to produce it. Also helps if you can't hear the sounds, which is one of the factors of people who have a great deal of difficulty learning to read and spell. Sometimes called garden variety reading spelling difficulties, sometimes called dyslexia. But everybody who has to learn how to read and spell has to make these letter sound associations as their first step. So one of the things that I do with all of my students is I have goals for them to work from. And we have the Common Core standards that say, in first grade, a student needs to learn all of the consonants and all of the vowels and the most frequent spellings. But I write for myself more specific goals to guide the activities that I might create for my student. So, given what we've done so far, I would say, given a list of letters, my student will identify the sounds and the articulatory features for the letters, as well as when they're giving a letter, they will be able to produce the sound with 90% accuracy for all consonants and vowels. And what you're going to see in a couple of weeks is when your students know less than 90% of the words on a page, they don't understand what they're reading. So I need them to be close to almost perfect with knowing this, consonants and their vowels. Okay? Okay. So I'd like you to reflect for a minute here and put your answers in the chat. And these are the questions I'd like you to take 3 minutes to write down. I've changed my mind or my attitude about something you've learned in the last 3 hours. I've become more aware of, I'm surprised about, or I related to. Pick 1 or 2 of those to reflect on your learning of how the brain learns, as well as the consonants, because that's what we've done in the 3 hours that we've worked together. And I'm going to put the timer on for 3 minutes. And I actually will ask each one of you to say one thing at least. And then we'll take a break. Okay, so there's some amazing things that people shared. Let's see. Cassie, do you want to share your answer?
Yeah, sorry, I was having a hard time unmuting. I actually put it in there twice on accident, but
Okay.
it still is the same thing.
Okay.
So I was hold on. I was surprised that dyslexia is caused by a hearing problem and not sight. That really surprised me, and ever since I learned that, like I tried to apply it in my classroom while I was teaching and like listening to them, and it's just interesting. You see it completely different. Then I also became more aware of how to teach reading by explaining the letters and what they sound and what the sounds sound like and feel like. I like the feel like part because I was never taught that, and I really like being able to feel what it sounds like and not just what it sounds like.
Good. Okay. Let's see. Megan, you want to share your response?
Sure. When I scroll up. So I said I relate to how important it is to use examples of words when teaching sounds that help students hear the variations of sounds. As a student, when I was obviously like in elementary school, I just feel like they would just shout out phrases like neighbor and way, like that's a really common one.
Yes.
But they don't elaborate. And in here, I really noticed that you use really simple words, ones that are more recognizable and more common, especially in a younger setting, and but put them back to back, like how all of these, like are for we did the THs, and it has like the, they, them, and then bath and words like that, and how different they sound, and comparing them and teaching that along. And I relate to that because I feel like if you make it important to do that in the beginning, kids don't struggle as much. So as someone who struggled as a child, I relate to
Good. One of the things you guys should check out this weekend is the UFly toolbox, because one of the things that they have there is all of the consonants with some really excellent pictures where the beginning sound of the picture is the sound of the consonant. And they're really good and they're free. You can download them. Okay, Jose, what was your response?
My response is I became more aware of like the way we use our mouth as well, like because I never got taught like putting my hand on my throat to feel like the vibration. And so that was something that I learned that I was more aware of, and something I was surprised about was the different like the fricative words, and I never heard of those words before. So especially as an English learner myself, I never got taught in that way.
Yeah, good. And we know that when we teach English language learners this way, they do much more efficient learning than anything else. Every brain learns this way, to read and spell. Every brain. Okay, thank you. Raven, what did you put down?
I put down that I became more aware of like how my mouth moves as I speak and make sounds. It's one of those things that you do all the time, but you never really think about.
Absolutely.
Becoming aware of it is like, oh, hello.
Yes. And you're all going to be tainted now because you're going to hear people speaking and reading and saying, oh, I know why they're doing that. Okay. Logan, what did you put down?
I put down that I became more aware of the concept of digraphs. I think I subconsciously kind of knew about that phrase or that term, but I never really knew the definition to it. And being able to actually get a concrete definition makes it make more sense to me.
Excellent.
And I was surprised that just generally about the way that specifically the tongue moves for different letters, and specifically L. Thought that I didn't think it was with the front of your.
Okay. And I have to tell you also that there's variation in how people articulate the L and the R. Okay, because some people will use the front of the tongue, some will use the mid of the tongue, and some the back. And some kids will take the front of their tongue and put it back to say I don't know how they do it, but they do. But I just want them aware of it, okay? And if the sound comes out accurately, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Chanel, what did you put down?
I was talking about the importance of like teaching students how their mouths make the sounds. But I also found it important like that they can see your mouth.
Yes.
Because it started making me think of it was like as students were coming back from COVID with the masks, like obviously I wasn't in an elementary school at that setting, but I have a girl in my placement that really struggles, and her first year of school was that year after COVID.
Yes.
So I wonder if that also kind of contributed to her struggle. I mean.
Absolutely. And so I don't know if you know this, but there are some masks, and I actually own 3 of them, where it's clear in the front so that you can see the mouth. Okay. It is very, very crucial. Absolutely. Okay. Who have I not asked? Madeline, did I ask you? Okay.
No, not yet. I became more aware of just how we say the letter sounds and how to effectively like present that to children. or more effectively. And then I'm surprised that this isn't more like widely taught in classrooms because of how helpful it is.
Me too. Me too. But you guys are going to do it. So, you know, you're the future of getting this wide set of students who are not on grade level onto grade level in literacy by knowing how to teach it. Yeah. Who else have I not asked and who has Ramsey, please.
So I kind of had a similar one as the last one, except I was just kind of surprised. It's been a while since I've studied phonetics and stuff like that. So I was just surprised just how much intricacy there is in the muscles and the forms that we use to make our sounds and everything like that. And it definitely seems like something you have to be very careful about, since so many different sounds and combinations can come from such few letters.
Exactly.
It surprised me. I kind of forgot just how complex that is, because I always kind of just was like, when people say English is a difficult language to learn, sometimes I'm like, oh, it doesn't seem as hard as some languages. But then once you put it together like that.
Yeah, but the interesting thing to me, because people always say that English is a difficult language, that they'll say, oh, it's crazy, but it isn't if you know linguistics and you know all of this stuff about the science of reading. It is actually very, very, very regular, but the way that we usually get taught it isn't part of that regularity. It's based on the science. So yeah, thank you. Okay. Anybody else that I didn't call on who wants, please, Kaylee.
So I had replied saying that I became more aware of how, like Raven said, how the mouth can move in so many different positions and stuff, and how we're not really aware of it. But I'm also starting to relate to it because as when I was little, I had an impediment, and no one ever really taught me. I had trouble with my R's and my L's. And if someone had just shown me, like with the mouth, how to pronounce it, it would have been easier for me. So I realized how important it is to teach this.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you a thing that I do with kids, and you would love this a whole lot. So sometimes I put a red sock on my right hand. And I put my fingers like on my left hand like this, and these are my teeth, if you imagine it. And imagine I have a red sock here. And I say, oh, when you say, oh, you use the front of your tongue behind your teeth. And when I say, I use the back of the tongue up. And that really helps make a visual for my students. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Okay, we have to take a 10-minute break. So let's take that, and then we'll come back, and I'm going to teach you about how to teach the single vowels, which are the most common vowels in our language. And if your students know these single vowels and how you articulate them, they will be able to read the most words and syllables that are in our language. So that's what we're going to do when you come back after break, okay? So let's take a 10-minute break. Okay, let's get started back. Okay, I'm going to share screen. So the reason that we teach the single vowels first, and we have single vowels, we have vowel digraphs, 2 vowels, 2 letters, but we always start with the single vowels in the Common Core standards. That's what you teach in kindergarten, and you repeat in the beginning of 1st grade. But the single vowels have very minute differences as far as sound differences. So what we really want to do is we want to teach our students how they use their articulatory gestures to be able to make the single vowels. The most words and syllables in the English language have these single vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and that's why we want to teach them. Here are some other important things about vowels. Every word And every syllable in the English language must have at least one vowel sound. So every word has to have at least one vowel sound. They can have, if they have more than one syllable, they can have more than one vowel sound. The vowels are really key to most of the spelling patterns, and they're also the key because they're continuals to being able to sound out or spell a word accurately. So when I teach these, I teach it using a concept called the single vowel staircase. And I always begin with my students and say, oh, well, what is a staircase anyway? Because I can't assume that they know what a staircase is and can define it. So usually you pictures, and I want them to be able to define it. But this is what the single vowel staircase looks like. And it starts at the top. Actually, I'm going to show you this. When we start saying it, at the top of the staircase, the lips are smiling like this, and the teeth are very close together. And by the time you step down each of the steps on the staircase, the jaw becomes quite open, the lips become very relaxed and rounded. So we go from this smiling to this and closed jaw to this open and rounded. The other thing that's happening that is harder to feel is what your tongue is doing. So when you start at the top of the staircase, what is happening is that tongue is up high, almost like a T, okay? But you can see when you get down to the bottom, that it's very flat in the, I always think of it in the jaw, like in the belly of the jaw. The jaw starts out closed and then it opens by the bottom of the staircase. And one way to feel that is to take your hands and put them in an L and put your fingers on the side of your cheek and your thumb underneath. And I'm going to ask you to say these sounds so you can feel it. Go eh, ah. And you can really feel the difference, can't you? Okay. And if you're not sure, if you put your elbow on a table, then you really can get more like stronger feedback. Eh, ah. Okay. And we're going to use that test now to compare two different vowels and to say which is my jaw more closed, and the more closed that your jaw is, the higher on the staircase that vowel will go, and the more open your jaw, the lower that vowel will go on the staircase. Does that make sense, everybody? So it's really the jaw, the lips, and the tongue that we're looking at. And again, if we can use pictures to help ourselves, we will, but I want my students to really feel it. So let's see. Madeline, will you do the first pair with me? But I'd love for everybody else to do it too, not just listen to everybody else, but feel it in your mouth, okay? So the sound of the letter I is I, and the sound of the letter O is ah. Can you say those and see which one is your jaw more open on? I, ah.
I, ah, on ah.
So ah would go below the I, the I on the staircase, wouldn't it? And here's actually a picture. Which of these would be the picture of the I? Which would be the picture of the O?
The ah is the one on the right.
Uh-huh.
And then the is the one on the left.
Okay. And these are U-fly pictures. Are they fantastic, guys? So you can see how that tongue is forward there, and you can see how you can't even see the tongue in ah. Okay, so that means that the I would go higher on the staircase than the O. You agree with that, Madeline?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Let's go for the next vowel, and let's have Kaylee. Would you do this with me?
Yes.
So we're going to say the sound of the I and ah. Can you do that with me? I, ah. Which is your
Ah.
Which is your jaw more open on? I or ah?
Ah.
So A would go below the I, wouldn't it? Okay, let's compare it to the O because we've got the O up there already, right? So A, ah,
Ah,
ah.
oh,
And which one is
oh.
which is more open? Ah, ah. Look at my mouth. Yes, it is. So the A would go between the I and the O, wouldn't it? And there are the pictures, okay? And you can see the differences in the mouth. And if we put it on the staircase, we've got them, the I on the top, the A between them, and the O in the bottom. Okay. Let's see. Raven, will you do this next one with me? Okay, so we're going to compare you to the letters we already have. I, will you say that for me?
Ah.
Which is more open, the I or the U?
You.
So it's going to go further down on the staircase, isn't it? Let's go which is more open?
The U.
I agree. And again, I'm going to ask you now to put your hand on a wooden surface if you can, because you're going to get more feedback. Let's go the O and then the U. Which is more open?
The O.
Yes, it is. So the U is going to go between the A and the O. Okay. Jordan, do the next one with me, please. Ready?
Yeah.
Which is more open?
It's gonna be the ah.
Yes, it is. Let's try
It's you.
Is more open?
More open, yeah.
I agree.
It seems like A is more open.
I agree. Now let's go which is more open?
The E.
Okay, so the E is going to go between the I and the A on the staircase. So let's say all of these together, everybody, with me, please. I, ah. Are they in the right order? Ramsey, are they in the right order? Okay, now, can you make these vowels and not make it exactly in this order? Absolutely. But as a teacher and the model, you want to be sure that you can say these accurately and articulate them correctly. Because when your students make a mistake, of course, what we're going to do is say, oh, is your mouth open like ah, or is it closed like eh? And we use this graphic of the single vowel staircase to really anchor our students' understanding of the single vowels, which is really challenging for them, okay? And I'm going to show you all kinds of different things to do with these. So one of the things, we did that already, is I could have numbers for each of the staircase steps. And I could say a single vowel sound and then say to you, and what step is it on? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And so I'm going to do that. So Logan, if I say what step is it on? Please say it.
4.
Okay, let's talk about that, okay? So when you say are your teeth close together or are they separated?
Separated.
So you were right to be in the middle, weren't you? Okay, so now here's an important thing. He really was feeling where it should be, but he's not sure what letter corresponds with that sound So I have to tell it to him because there's no amount of guessing that you can do to know a vowel sound that you're not sure of. So I'm going to say these sounds from E, A, U, and you tell me, as you're saying them, which one of them says a. So E is a. Can you say those? Logan, can I hear you?
Say them again.
Eh,
Eh.
a,
Ah.
Which one's saying a? Is it number 3 or number 4?
4.
Okay. Now, are you? Oh, you know what? You're right. I'm wrong. I was seeing it this way, and you were seeing it this way, weren't you?
Oh, am I looking? Is it to the right of it? Is the one?
Ah,
Okay.
that's what happened. That's what happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
3.
So you were correct when you said number 4. You were saying the one underneath it, right?
Yeah, I see. I
Cool.
see. It's to the right.
Yeah. That's another thing that's a marvelous thing for you to see. Because my thinking didn't match Logan's thinking. And if we talked about it, I figured it out, or he would have told me, no, Sasha, it's the letter A. And we would have understood it together. And being able to talk about this thinking with your students is the essence of building a growth mindset with your students. It's teaching them that making mistakes is not going to harm you, but rather help you learn more. And it's really, really critical. So Logan, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, I'm going to say another sound and I'm going to ask someone else to tell me what line it's on. So how about I? Jose, where is I? Is it 1, 2, or 3?
2.
Okay. So tell me what you're thinking about that. Let's talk about your mouth. Is your jaw closed?
Eh.
Yeah.
Yes.
As opposed to ah. So you're right to be at the top of the staircase, aren't you? Right? And I'm going to tell you that the sound of the E, were you thinking the E or the I when you said 2?
The I.
Okay, I learned, Logan. Did you see that? Okay, and you are correct, Jose. Okay. I'm going to have to do something with these numbers and make them more understandable here. Okay.
If I read it from the top, it would have been more clear because the 1 wouldn't correspond to anything.
Right. Okay. 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 So one of the things that I just did, I want you to do with your students this weekend. Okay. I want you to teach them, in the first lesson, we teach the single vowel staircase, and we teach P and B and T and D and K and G. So I would like you to practice doing this. And the other thing that's really critical, in your Moodle, there is a link to a video in which Holly Lane pronounces all of the consonants and all of the vowels. And if you have question about the pronunciation of any of those, because we're the model for our students, look at that video, okay? And there's also an MP3 file that has the different sounds and the pronunciation. Okay, so let's see, what time are we ticking? We have 18 minutes. I think what I'd like you to do is to practice teaching each other the single vowel staircase. Is everybody willing to do that? Yep. Okay. So we're going to go into groups, and hopefully I'll be able to make it so that I'm in the group with someone this time. Last time I didn't get it correct. This is pages 32 to 35 in your book, or you have a set of cards, a small set of cards, how to teach the single vowel staircase. And so what I would ask you to do is kind of go back and forth with your partner. So one person is not the only teacher, but you switch roles back and forth. Any questions of what I want you to do? Okay, and I am going to put us in breakout rooms, but I am going to, let's see. I don't want to delete a room. Okay, Jose, I'm going to move you to room 4 and then you and I can work together. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that should get 2 people in each room. Okay, and it's going to be for 10 minutes, guys. Okay, so can I hear you? Speak for a minute, because I may not have the sound on for here. Jose, can you hear me? I don't think this is going to work. No, this is not going to work.
Recording in progress.
Wonderful. Okay. Damn it. Off. Okay. I had a really hard time, Jose, making it happen. So we're going to all be together, okay?
Okay. Sweet.
Who wants to be the teacher first? And not me.
I kind of just went, so I nominate one of the other 2.
Okay, go ahead. What? Okay. What did you do?
I could do it.
Okay, Kaylee, go.
I have a refresher on how to pronounce them. I just want to make sure I gotta really get it into my brain.
Okay, okay. Do you want help with it? What we could all probably do it. It wouldn't hurt, would it? Okay. So let's start with the first one on the top, I. It says I. Can I hear it, Kaylee?
Yeah.
You're completely correct. I. You're completely correct. Jose, can I hear it?
Eh.
You're correct. And Jordan?
Eh.
Hear me? Let me hear again.
Eh.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to go to the O. Okay. And it's really important that you try and exaggerate your mouth like me. Sorry, guys. Ah. Kaylee?
Ah.
Okay. And that's an O. Like octopus. Okay. Jose? Ah.
Ah.
Okay. Jordan, I'm going to give you an A. Or can you tell me an A? I agree. Jose, give me a U. I
Uh,
agree. Kaylee, give me the E. That would be the long sound of it. It would be like egg. Okay? Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, there's a wonderful set of like actions and then goes with it. Itch. Okay. Is, imagine this is the edge of the table. Edge. A is an apple. Is up. Okay. And what is I can't remember the last gesture. Octopus. Oh, octopus. Okay, octopus. So sometimes that can help. And you can play with little ones with this, right? So you can teach them those, itch, and is edge, okay? And is apple that you hold in your hand. And is up, and is octopus, okay? So you can teach them the gestures, and then it's just like when you have the staircase, you can have those pictures aside it, and then you can like do the action, and they have to tell you the sound. Okay? And if you go to UFly, UFLI, toolbox, under reproducibles, I believe, it has the pictures of all of the single vowels with those pictures. So you can do that with your student, okay? Okay. So,
That helps a lot.
I'm sorry, what? I couldn't hear that,
It
Kayla.
helps a lot.
Good. And it helps our students also,
Yeah.
Okay. So Jordan, you presented, what did you present to Kaylee already? The concept. You don't have to do it again.
I was working on the concept of A and where it's at on the vowel staircase.
Okay. So did you guys start with that, or is that where you began?
Yeah, and then it came to the point where like we both kind of got confused on the sounds. So then when Jose came in, we actually started from the beginning of identifying the sounds first.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the things, this is a little anal retentive, if you will. Do it in the order that I gave you in teaching the single vowel staircase. Don't start at the A. The reason I put the two sounds that I put is that I wanted contrast in the feeling. Okay, so I is at the top of the stairs and A is at the bottom. And that's why I use those as the first two. And then A isn't really close to the I, and it's not really close to the O, it's in the middle. So I was going for as much contrast in feeling and then getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so the order does matter that you teach it in, okay?
Perfect.
Okie doke. So, Jose, do you have your cards?
yeah.
Okay. So start with the first card in the single vowels and teach the other ones what is on the first card, please.
Okay. Is it, this is the first card?
I don't think that's the first card. Let me get one out.
This one.
Do you know that there's numbers on the back?
Let's see.
Cards in the lower right-hand corner.
Okay. Here it is.
Okay. So the first card would be this one.
That one.
And if you look here in the very corner, it says SV2 because SV1 was, oh, SV1 is this one, yes. Okay, but they have the numbers on it, okay? So I'm sorry, will you get number one, how to teach the single vowels, and say what's on that card? Yep.
Yep. So we're going to be defining vowels as open phonemes. Vowels are defined as open phonemes because we position our lips, tongue, and jaw in various stable positions while pronouncing the vowel sound. All vowels are voice phonemes.
Okay, so what was important there, Jordan, on that card for you to know as a teacher?
We're going to use our lips and our mouth. We need
Yeah,
to know.
our lips and tongue and jaw, and that also that the all of the vowels are voiced, and we call them open phonemes because we literally open our mouth, keep it in that position, and pass the air out instead of blocking the air like the closed consonants. Of course, it's 10 minutes, guys. Okay, but you've got, I think, was this helpful to get to interact with it? It's fine for me to say it and do it, but until you guys do it, it's not yours. Okay? Okay, we'll bring everybody back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Myself. Okay, so reactions to working with the single vowel staircase.
I like how you can feel the sounds with your hand and putting your thumb on your chin too.
Cool, cool. One of the things that Kaylee in the group that I finally joined, took me a while to get there, said is, "Oh, I want to practice the sounds," and I think that's a really important thing because what we're going for is the most common sounds of the vowels. So for everybody, Kaylee, do you want to tell them about the actions or do you want me to do it?
I think I remember it. I wrote it down.
Okay.
So, and this really helps me because I am very much like visual also. So if your student is also a visual learner, this could help too. So like the I sound is eh or like itch. And the E sound is like edge, like eh for edge. And then A is like apple. Yeah.
Oh, it helped. Yeah.
Yeah. And U is like up, up. And O is my favorite. It's for like octopus.
Mhm.
And those little visuals are really helpful to remember. And especially for little kids,
Mhm.
they think it's fun too. So
Yeah. So it's just some hand gestures along with some words. And again, at the UFly, which is UFLI toolbox online, you will find pictures of the single vowels and the consonants. And the pictures on the single vowels are these hand gestures. So it's itch for it, and it's the edge of a table for eh, and it's as Kaylee said, and see, you remembered it when you did it, right? Okay, so it's a way to help you. Another thing that I was able to say with the group I was with is start at the beginning, and also in the very corner of your on the back of your, I don't know if you can see that. There's a number for every card is numbered. So if you get your cards out of order, you can put them back in order. So it says SV, which is single vowel, and then it's ordered, okay? When you're teaching your student the single vowel staircase this weekend, start at the first single vowel card and work through it, okay? Any observations, questions about the single vowels? Okay, there was one more thing that I was thinking of saying, but we have 2 minutes and I can't remember what it was. Please read your first 4 lessons in the book. Please work with your student and do a summary of it. Get your, we have more to work on in our first packet, but we'll probably be working on the next week's work as well as finishing off this on Tuesday. Okay. I would like to thank every one of you for being on time and for being active learners. And I feel like each time that we work, it's going to get more and more involved for you. And I really appreciate that. And I want to say that you have, usually I only have 32 hours to train teachers in the course that you're taking. So you are really lucky. We're going to get to everything in our 40 hours. And also the practicum that you do with your students is really, 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 really important because it will cement what we talk about in class. It'll make it yours instead of mine. So that's it. It's so valuable that you do that. Okay, guys? Okay, good evening. It's now 10 o'clock here. Okay, good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question about the articles.
Sure, sure.
Where are they at in Moodle? Are they under the documents?
I think they're, that's a good question. I think they are, yes.
I looked under the documents for week 1 and there was one writing that said like 6 neurologic.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Article. Okay, thank you. And then the week 2 one was confusing. I didn't know which one it was. But I can like look through them all. I didn't look through them. Just the names looked like it wasn't one. But I'll look through again.
Okay, and I will too.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. And thank you for being patient with me.
No worries.
It's my first Moodle experience and it's challenging.
I totally understand that.
I'm working hard on it. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.